So here is the IAG mini mud flap I've already installed on the driver's side. I think as far as mud flaps go, it's not too big, it's kind of discreet. It doesn't look like some clunky add-on, so I kind of like it. I think it will serve its purpose of giving me basic protection, keep a little less mud and dirt and rocks from flying up, hitting my door, keep mud from sticking to the door handle area as much. So I'll do a follow-up after I've had this in the field for a while, been through some mud holes and stuff, and let you know how those work. But I think so far it looks pretty good. Certainly on aesthetic, relatively pleasing solution. So here is the passenger side piece, mirror image of course of the driver's side. Pretty straightforward. One thing I don't particularly care for in the molding here is there's this pocket recess that's going to be facing towards the tire. That's going to be obviously a collection point for mud and rocks in there. Other than that, I think design on these pretty simple, pretty straightforward, and can be a very easy install if you understand what fasteners you're dealing with and have the right tools on hand, or it could be a bit of a pain to install if you're not quite prepared with the right tools to get the job done. So here is the factory OEM plug that came out of the driver's side, and there is a screw hole here for the top screw. That is this one up here. It's kind of hard to get to. Talk about that more here in a moment, but it is just a screw threaded into plastic here. The bottom fastener, actually it's on the inside. You have to get under the vehicle to get to it. It's one of these trim plugs with the ribs on it, and the easiest way of course to get that out is with some kind of trim tool that you can get underneath of it and pry it out, pop it out without too much fuss. So I'm going to go through a couple simple tool solutions here that made this job really a piece of cake, where otherwise it could have been kind of irritating trying to do this with the wrong tools. So for starters, this fastener on top is a T25 that we need to get out of there, and any standard driver, even my 1/4 inch driver with a T25 bit, just really doesn't want to fit in there square enough to have a good mate with that fastener. I suppose you could help this out a little bit by taking wheel well trim off. I don't know that that would help enough. It wouldn't help very much at all, really. So what I came up with was just using my bare T25. I have a 1/4 inch ratcheting box wrench. Make sure I get this oriented the correct way for unturning the fastener. And I'm just going to do this, and so this gives me a very short height on the overall combination of tools here, and allows me to just very easily take out that T25 fastener rather than struggling with it some other way. So the top one is out. I'm going to crawl underneath with my trim tool, pop out the other fastener underneath that faces towards the inside. So here I am under the vehicle, and just get my trim tool right under there, gently start prying it out, and it pops right out. So with the right tool, easy peasy. And so now at this point I should be able to just work out the OEM rock rail plug, work that out, and it's free. So we're ready to put the new IAG mini mud flap on. So it just slides in the end, and what I'm going to do is use one of the self-tapping screws provided by IAG. I'm going to use that on this inside one because I can get to it with a Phillips screwdriver and very gently get that fastened into the plastic. But I have the same problem out on the outside up on top, so I'm going to reuse that T25 fastener and the little trick with the ratcheting box wrench and the T25 driver to put that one back in. But first I need to mark some locations on both of these. I've got whatever I had handy here, speed bore bit that was nice and sharp and pointy, just to mark on here on the mud flap where that screw is going to go. And here I am back on the outside, and I'm just going to use the screw itself to make a marking towards the center of the hole. Now when I pull this out, I have a mark here, I have a mark here. I'm going to use my handy pointy object here, the speed bore bit. You'd be better off with maybe a sharp awl or pointy punch. But I'm just going to make a little bit of a hole, not too big of course. We want that self-tapping screw to be able to go in easily. And of course we're going to have to do that gently when we tighten those down so as not to have the metal threads strip out in this plastic piece. So I have a hole there, I have the hole there. I'm going to slide this back into place. Now I'm using my ratcheting box wrench to gently snug down on the T25. Okay, I'm going to call that good for that fastener. Don't want to overdo it. So I'm going to head back under the vehicle with one of the Phillips head self-tapping screws. These self-tapping screws go pretty easily into the soft plastic, into my pilot hole. And again, not a whole lot of torque on these, it's just plastic. So there it is, pretty easy install. If you have the right tools on hand, hopefully save you a little frustration if you're putting a pair of these on. But I think they look pretty good. Looking forward to seeing how they perform, keeping my doors a little cleaner. Hope that helps.